This week in motion, after a dominant week 1 and with a matchup with the team that knocked him out of the 2024 playoffs on the horizon, did David Tender and the Animals shock the A7FL system in the Battle of Paterson? Or did Jason Sisson and the Paterson U run them back to Silk City on a rail? With the Insomniacs on the bye week, Kenyon Stone King and Siquid snatched the spotlight out west, while Corey Price and the East Orange Renegades would battle the Indianapolis Octane on a wet and wild day in the Midwest, as the Heathens looked to clip the wings of the Old Bridge Hawks in their first dance on Games of the Week. Sterry Codrington and the Trenton BIC would bring hits on both sides of the ball as they would battle the QC Crush out in the Midwest. And also, the Silver State Stealth would make their A7FL debut as they looked to run over the Hunters. All of this plus a conversation with David Tender, your top 7, and a look at Week 3 in the A7FL as A7FL in motion, the fastest show in football, starts right now.
Yeah. I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now. I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, my time.
We kick things off with our first game of the week in Asbury Park as the undefeated Old Bridge Hawks battled the Virginia Heathens, as Corey Hammond would start the day strong and would get on the board first with this chuck to Zariel right into the pocket in the end zone. They'd get the extra point to make it 8-0. But then Captain America Ryan Burrows would use the ball in his shoulder as the shield, as the change agent for this Heathens club would have one hell of a day. But then linking up with Charles Sharp Jr., the co-founder of the Heathens, as they would tie things up 8-8. Next offensive drive right to the Mean Dean, Patrick Dean, getting it right into the end zone, 16-8. And then you see Bebo Rios. He'd touch a ball on a 3-on-1 return, get it into the end zone. It'd be a safety, turn it into a touchdown, and then Ryan Burrows would make it 22-8, packing on the points, getting it to Marty Marcel in the beautiful bronze silky. Corey Hammond would not feel so silky as he would be brought down by Jaquan Collins. Ryan Burrows going right to left, pocket again to the Mean Dean, showing off those skills, slip slides into the house, increasing the lead in the third quarter. And big play, Burrows to Dean. Watch it again here, just effortless. And Dean with that Kentucky waterfall, getting that moonbeam of a pass, and then just little huss, as Big Rob Fabian would say on the Games of the Week. Again, adding to that lead, 30-8. Hammond, though, would set it up. Big play to Dell. Ron Simmons, who had 197 yards on the ground last week, had an impressive day in the air in Week 2. Burrows again evading the defenders. No, sir. Right into the pocket of James Mitchell, the former Octane player, who would get that big play, get him to the 40, and then later in the drive, right downtown, Burrows showing the cannon, and Mitchell pulling it in to make it 36-14 in the fourth, as this would be a big day for Mitchell and the Heathens. Watch again, just little short compact throw, finds the rhythm, the motion, and the distance. But Bebo Rios would step in for an injured Corey Hammond. He'd toss it back to Delron Simmons. Simmons would slip, slide, not find his way to the end zone, toss it back to Wright, who'd find the end zone and add 6 more to the score, 38-20. But then Patrick Dean scoring not only as a wide receiver, but as a 3-on-1 returner, showing a little bit of sizzle for that steak as he would run it into the end zone. And the Heathens would run out of Asbury Park with the 46-26 win over the Old Bridge Hawks. When we return here on A7FL in motion, more highlights, more scores, and a sit-down with David Tender after this. Are you you watching the A7FL and want to bring the future of football to your hometown? Head to A7FL.com/owners now and learn how you can bring the longest-running spring football league to markets across the United States. Whether you're in Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, NYC, or on the beaches of Miami, the time is now to get an A7FL division. Head to A7FL.com/owners to bring your team to your town in 2024. In Cincinnati, it's the Octane taking on the Renegades as Corey Price would be leading the charge at quarterback. Anthony Service not in action, but Price certainly was in service, playing a little old-school Northeast Town B football to make it 6-0 early in the game, late in the first, and getting it to the big man, DeAndre Haynes, a hard target to cover, but not a hard target to find, and Price finding the thread to get through the needle and set up a huge first down play midway through the second quarter. Price poised, composed, bang into the end zone, right into the receiver's hip pocket to make it a 2-score lead. Continuing on the extra point, Price would find his way to the right, getting it to Haynes one more time. So dangerous on those extra points. You just got to get the big man the ball in the air, and Seth Batson would handle it on the ground. 126 yards in this one touchdown. A big play from Batson, and then on defense, late in the half, the Octane trying to make something happen, and then quick dink doink. Oh no, the ball would come loose, and then the Renegades defense would find some glory in the midnight rain to make it 27-0. And then in the second half, it would take the Renegades a while, but they would find another deep pass, slip, slide literally into the end zone as the Renegades would get 33 points up on the board, but the Octane would not allow a empty day on the scoreboard. And one more time, DeAndre Haynes on the extra point would make it 34-0 in Cincinnati, but the Octane would not walk out without some points on the board. Quick little reverse play, throws it right into the end zone. The Trap Hunter getting not only the touchdown, but on the extra point, would find the seam and run the alley right into the end zone. Evade a little bit of a hustle there in the rain to make it 34-8. And then the fumble on the handoff, and the defense didn't hear no whistle. They didn't hear no bell. This fight ain't over yet. And with 10-10 left to go in the fourth, they'd slip, they'd slide, they'd make their way to the end zone and make it 34-14. Throw up the hard hands, and that would be your final score in Cincinnati, as the Renegades will go to 1-1 and set up a Week 3 matchup with the Hawks. We now go to Vegas as the Silver State Stealth introduced themselves to the A7FL, and the Hunters would quickly find themselves to be the hunted as they'd give up the ball on offense early in the first quarter, and the big man would not be brought down. He would not be denied. He would take this one, toss it back, and run right into the end zone. The Stealth would take the 6-0 lead early on in the game as the Stealth would see the Hunters and Savion Cunningham off the handoff from Yodi Mack. And Cunningham playing every which way but loose, playing almost every position you see here. Yodi Mack using his legs, deceptively fast. Cunningham, one of the most prolific returners in the modern era of the league, would put the Hunters on the board, and they would take the lead late into the half until the early part of the third quarter, as it would be Mayato Fuleyama making a 30-yard strike to be the Stealth, making a 13-8 lead. And then Yodi Mack would try to make something happen, but he would be brought down. He'd try to toss it back, and the Stealth would find a way to crack through that offensive line and get the ball back for the Silver State Stealth, and they would find themselves pushing into the end zone and pushing towards their first win in the A7FL, 21-8. But Savion Cunningham would make things happen on the day. An impressive return here from the 2024 Returner of the Year, and brought down hard, but they would walk out 0-2 on the season. We go to Baltimore. In Baltimore, the Watchmen showing why they want people to watch this, as they would lower the volume on the DC Buzz by the tune to 26-12 as they were preparing for a Week 3 showdown against the Animals on our Games of the Week. And folks, the Watchmen at 2-0 are dangerous, and they might play spoiler to the Silk City Animals. For the first time in 2025, the defending Eastern Conference champions were on the road as the BIC would give up the ball to the QC Crush and Keno Thomas. Despite a safety, the Crush would be the first on the scoreboard on defense, taking a 6-2 lead over the BIC. A rare foible there, but Kason Campbell would have himself one hell of an afternoon, continuing his impressive 2025. 6 receptions like that touchdown there and 127 yards on the day. And here a throw to Trey Robinson would see another BIC fumble and another defensive touchdown from the QC Crush as they would find themselves past K-Wack asking himself why you do that. And the Crush would have a lead late in the first half, and that would carry for the Crush into halftime. But Sterry Codrington, 29 for 47, 6 touchdowns in 2 games, a lot of them going to Kason Campbell, who had 3 on the day. What a day for Kason Campbell in the rain. They were making it look easy, even though it was quite difficult. The handoff there on the extra point, a little bit of Robinson redemption, as the BIC would face a formidable challenge from the QC Crush with the weather, but Keno Thomas would have to face that blue wall of the BIC defense. He would stand undeterred as the Crush would keep it close. 20-12 in the third with the flag. Keno Thomas would run it in for the touchdown and make it a 2-point game. And then on the extra point, Thomas would get past Kenny Stansberry, hit the B button, and tie this game up. But Kason Campbell, mama, there go that man, scoring whether as a wide receiver on the toss or on the 3-on-1. Sterry Codrington showing why he's the most valuable player in the league, whether at QB or DB, laying the hammer down, and then here showing what that arm can do, going again to Campbell for his 3rd touchdown on the afternoon in the air. It would be 39-20, your final in Cincinnati. In Vegas, Kenyon Stone King and Siquid would look to improve to 2-0, and with handoffs like that and an offense including a breakaway speed at not only running back, but Darren Palmer, the wide receiver. We see Stone King here getting it to Palmer, and Palmer would glitch the feed and glitch the defense as he would find his way, even through his own teammates, getting into the end zone to make it a 3-score lead late in the first. But on this extra point one more time, we see the Gold defense would find themselves in the end zone to start the second quarter. After getting the ball away, they would find themselves with their first touchdown of the season, making it 22-6, but they'd only find one more score on the day as Siquid would remain undefeated, pushing away the Gold and panning their way to victory and a 2-0 record ahead of a showdown with the national champion Insomniacs during our games this week in the A7FL. Highlights and DT next on A7FL in Motion. Are you watching the A7FL and want to bring the future of football to your hometown? Head to a7fl.com/owners now and learn how you can bring the longest-running spring football league to markets across the United States. Whether you're in Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, NYC, or on the beaches of Miami, the time is now to get an A7FL division. Head to a7fl.com/owners to bring your team to your town in 2024. The 2025 Battle of Paterson would see David Tender going to Manny Diaz to kick things off, making it 8-0, and then Tender would get it over to KP, making the defender slip before he even gets the chance to cover him, and KP would slide, find himself getting towards the end zone, wouldn't be able to get there, and then bang, over to Kwani Morgan from David Tender, 14-0, and then Tender would run it in on the extra point, making it 16-0. Quattrell Huffin not letting them go out like that, getting the big play to Dakari Mims. That is why he is hot in the A7FL as a receiver, but David Tender on 4th down would be denied again by Mims on defense. And it would be Ron Butler here running it in while down 16-6 to make it close on 4th down, making it 16-12, and then in trouble, trying to make something happen. The U playing quarterback by committee, and Very next drive, David Tender on first down would cross the Rubicon of the 50-yard line and get around the defenders, get a big first down. Late in the half, Tender and the Animals still driving, getting it over to KP, slipping, sliding, finding his way to the end zone, increasing their lead, and 22-12. Getting it one more time to Kwani Morgan, 24-12, but Jason Sisson on the untimed down, the most exciting play in football from one of the most exciting receivers. He's sparkling out there, making it 24-18, but still with time on the clock, David Tender, undeterred, gets the block from the man known as Papa Smurf, slips, slides, gets the first down, and then one more time to Manny Diaz, uncovered, and then one more time to Papa Smurf in the second half. Tender having these wide open receivers to use secondary, not knowing what to do. 30-18 in the third, and one more time, Kwani Morgan finding the end zone. And then Mike Liberti, the Sayreville native, scoring his first touchdown of the day as the Animals increased their lead in our games of the week. But Jason Sisson, 7 returns, 265 yards, 1 touchdown, showing why the 3-on-1 is one of the most dynamic and one of the most important plays in football and one of the most important players. And then this play into the end zone, a controversial call, a fumble at the goal line. The U would get the ball at the 1. It would make it 38-24. And then Kwani Morgan slipping through the defenses, scoring not only on offense as a wide receiver and a returner, but on the 3-on-1 throw-off, throwing up the deuces as the Animals would continue to put pressure on the U, but the U again responding despite being down 44-24, responded to the call, but so did David Tender. One more time to Manny Diaz. That connection is going to be something we talk about in this league for a long time. Ron Butler would get this over to Dakari Mims, and Mims looking for an option, looking for something. Somebody would toss it to Sisson. An impressive play. Wouldn't be enough to score. But again, the Animals' defense coming into play. Trey Baskerville stepping up with the sack, his second of the afternoon, keeping it 58-38. The Animals late trying to close this one out big, and David Tender ending the show with a crescendo, letting the 50 boys now become the 60 boys as the Animals would walk out 2-0 and take the Battle of Paterson. We'll return with David Tender after this. It's A7FL in motion. Pro football is a sport of evolution, from the I formation into the Wildcat, and from the 3-4 into the 4-3 and then the 46. But much like MySpace, it stopped evolving in like 2008. We at the A7FL have not only evolved the game of football, but streamlined it. Why? We want a faster, more explosive, and more exciting game for our fans and our players. We also wanted a safer game, so our players can step onto the field and ensure that they are at less of a risk for major head or neck injuries. Now you're asking yourself, hey loud dude on the internet, how? Well, if you were patient, I'd have gotten to that already. The rules for the A7FL are pretty simple. First off, we play 7-on-7 football. Makes the game more wide open and sets up for big plays like this. Next up, no helmets or pads. While some of you may cringe at that, studies have shown that playing without helmets or pads limits a player from leading with their head on plays and forces the players to embrace wrap tackling. Then, we have no kicking or punting in the A7FL. We're for the brand and all, and if you've ever played football at any level, you know finding a good kicker or a punter is like finding a needle in the haystack, if that haystack was the size of New Jersey. Also, we're playing on a 100-yard field, but narrower. We're scaling it down because it's 7-on-7 football, and we want it to be a great game, but we don't want those defenders getting lost out there. We also have 4 15-minute quarters. That, much like any B.I.G. album, is the standard, and we're not changing. Next up is no snap from the center to the quarterback. How many times have we seen a center botch a snap or a quarterback have the football fly over his head? We want our offensive linemen to protect the quarterback and do their job as only they can. Now we have the most exciting play in football, the 3-on-1. we have 3 defenders, 1 returner, and the chance to see someone take it back to the house or be lit up like a Christmas tree. But folks, the 3-on-1s are safer and more exciting than your traditional kick return. No gunners, no crackback blocks, and more open field. Want a taste of the A7FL and find out why it's the alternative in pro football? Sign up for an A7FL season pass just for $59.99 on Fight. More information is available by downloading the Fight app on your phone, tablet, smart TV, or device, or just by heading to fight.tv. Welcome back to A7FL in Motion. I'm Matt Ryan, and I'm joined by a guy who has backed up everything he's been saying in the offseason and this season. He's the quarterback of one of the leading teams in the Eastern Conference. He is David Tender of the Silk City Animals. DT, welcome to InMotion, and what a week, what a season it's been so far for you guys. The first 2 weeks of the A7FL season, a statement game in week 1, and you follow it right up with a win over the Paterson U. Just your initial thoughts coming out of this past week's game and just taking it all in, beating one of the cornerstones of the A7FL.
We didn't go into this game looking like it was underdogs. We kind of felt like we were the big dogs in this game, and we showed up and did exactly that.
What gave you guys that mindset? Because that has been kind of the MO, that you guys have shown up ready to play, ready to give a fight, but there was a different energy than what we saw against the BIC in the playoffs. You guys were more calm, more composed. It felt like you guys had been there before. What has been the change in mindset, and what allowed you guys to feel like, okay, we're the new kids in town, but now we are going to be the establishment?
Well, what kind of changed our mindsets was them last 2 games of last season. The potential was there. Going into the offseason, we kind of knew what were the key points and to making this a winning team and being able to compete for a championship, and everyone bonded together. We created a brotherhood and we formed. So coming into this season, we kind of looked at it like we're a top 3 team. If we all come together, we all can win. So my mindset, me being the leader of the team, if I'm fired up and I'm ready to go into this game, they are right behind me with it. They feel the same way.
And 234 yards in the air, 5 tutties, and then 190 yards on the ground. That is leadership by example. Those are your stats. Those are your stats from Sunday. We got them. We counted them. We triple-checked them. How does it feel to know that you walked up against the quarterback in this league and put up those video game numbers? Like, you're a Madden create a character at that point, putting up those kinds of stats. What's your mindset knowing that you have to face the Watchmen this coming week, week 3? It's a big matchup. You have the BIC on the horizon. How do you allow yourself to take in the moment, taking you guys are 2-0, going up against the team that cost you a playoff spot a season ago?
This is a very personal game for us. Like going on what happened last year. So it's a very comp game. But I think that we honestly should walk through this game like we walked through the U game.
And you've added new weapons on defense, too. You've got Benny Jones, who made a statement yesterday, number 23, out there like the OG 23, just airballing everything everywhere. What has it been to add these pieces to what you, Kwani, and Manny created as a young nucleus for this team, and also working with the Santisteban brothers, working with John Kessler? How has that been, forming the chemistry and the culture, trying to mix a lot of A7FL OGs with what you guys are bringing in, a new, more dynamic style than what we've seen from the Animals before?
Well, honestly, getting them, it was amazing. Getting Trey, getting my boy Benny, and a lot of younger guys on that defense, the Santisteban brothers, and John trusting me and allowing me to build my own offense, and them going out and getting younger defensive players was just showing that they want to win. And, it's not a lot of history of them winning, but it's a new culture in town, and they understand that.
What are the things people are going to see from who Big Rob Fabian and I have started to call the most marketable man in the A7FL?
It's a tough game. It's just another game for me. And like you said, it's a league full of trash talkers, but I'm a troll, so it's like it don't really work on me. So
you were in the chat.
Another week.
You were in the chat in week 2 on a7fl.com/chat, just shouting out to the people watching at home. And I think that level of braggadocio, to use some NYU terms to pay off some student debt, I think that the braggadocio and just the pompousness, and it's not a bad thing, the arrogance you guys carry is an infectious energy that we've seen from the U, from the BIC when they were at the top of the league. And when you see the Renegades and you guys just building up with new weapons, you've got Anthony Service, what is it that you think is going to carry the A7FL the next few seasons? Do you think that you guys are going to be at the top of the heap with the BIC and the U?
In the next few years, I honestly see us as a top 2 team, if not one. I see, obviously seeing us winning the championship very soon. I think that every year we'll get stronger. And we're all young, so, you know, we got a lot of time left in the game. And about the Vegas division, I don't really have too much to say. I think that the Insomniacs are a good team, but it is a weaker division over there.
Well, you might see them in the A7FL Championship on June 22nd, but you watching at home will be able to see him this week against the Baltimore Watchmen on our Games of the Week. That game starts live at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you want to find out where to watch, go to a7fl.com/watch. DT3, David Tender, thank you so much for spending time with us here on A7FL in Motion.